Alright, so in this video I want to walk through how to make a custom piece to build onto our Arduino build. So you can see on mine, one thing I noticed when I was looking at your robots is that oftentimes don't know which robot is which. So I thought it might be helpful to add a nice big sign plate on here to tell us whose robot is whose. What you might notice about this, one, it's custom piece. Two, it's lined up. I've made it in such a way where I can like access these holes in order to mount this onto my actual chassis. So have those holes lined up, and I want to go through the process of how I would do that. And we'll make our own little nameplates just to make sure we have like our robots actually labeled. And then also I want to, in the future, we'll make more like meaningful parts that interact with other custom pieces of geometry. All right, so here we go back to our nice clean board, nice clean robot. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a part in context. So we create a part in context. So instead of making assemblies, we're going to go into our part studio. Actually, I'm going to delete this one. We're going to make a part studio. You should look just like this. We're going to make it in context, which means like we're going to make it with reference to the existing geometry of our piece. So here's what we can do. We are going to create a part studio in context, but before we do that, we're going to make a make connector. So this is going to be kind of like the centerpiece or like the origin or the reference location that we're going to use from our robot with our part. So we can go over to make connector and we just say like, where do I want to make connector to be? I want my kind of reference spot to be. I'm just going to choose one of these holes up front and we'll say okay. Then we go over to this option on here, create part studio in context. For me, it was also like hidden kind of in one of these little drop-down menus. So depending on how your zoom is, you might have it down there. But let's click on that, and then we're going to select the origin or the make connector. I'm going to say my origin should be just this thing. I'm looking to just get that make connector right there, nothing else. And we're going to say okay. That's going to load us up, and you can see it switch from the assembly view into the part studio view. In the part studio, you can see this kind of ghosted out. You know, we can see the rest of our robot, but it's kind of like we can see that, but we're also kind of making a part, and you can kind of increase or decrease how much you can see those different the different parts of your robot. So I'm going to keep that pretty low. Doesn't really matter though. All right, so now I'm going to make my own part, and this is going to kind of reference more stuff that's been done in like Fusion 360 maybe, where we can create some sketches and then design some pieces. So we're going to start by creating a sketch, and we're going to create a sketch. You can see it's already created these three planes for us. I'm going to select this plane right here and say that's where I want my sketch to be. Also, really critical thing I want to do is I want to be able to like use the holes that were on my original chassis in order to kind of set this up. So if I don't access those holes, I have to kind of like guess where they're at, but I can actually directly reference those in my CAD. I'm going to do that by using the use button. The use button, I don't know, it's hidden up here somewhere right there, this use. Also called project if you use Fusion. I love project in Fusion. Same idea here in OnShape, but it's called use. We can also access it by hitting the letter U. So I'm going to hit U, and I'm going to say that I want this hole. I really want this hole in my design, and I also need this hole in my design to help me kind of line up my part just right. I'm also going to select this front piece, because I kind of want my sign to go right up to the edge, but then not too much further than that. For me, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a rectangle. So different types of rectangles. I think a corner rectangle is going to be the best for me. I'm going to select that. It's going to be along this line. This is going to be the bottom part of my sign. And then I also want another one that's going to be kind of along the front here. I'm going to be really careful. Maybe I'll show you, go back, and like as I do this, sometimes this happens in any CAD software. Sometimes it'll like try and put in some constraints, try and locate things for you to make them like give you auto constraints, which means like it's going to try and put it in a certain spot for you and kind of assume, oh, we want this to be here, we want it to be in the midpoint. So when I select this, you might notice like it automatically kind of wants to snap out to some points. Oh, it wants to snap right there, right in the midpoint. The problem is if you do that, like if you make any changes to the size of this, it's going to like automatically assume some things about your design that maybe are not true. So you got to be really careful about what this is going to do. Here you can see it's kind of like trying to force line up with the origin there. I really don't want that. I want it to be just kind of anywhere in here, although it's already kind of, I'm actually going to go back in time because I had those little dots left over. I'm going to click here, and I'm going to go, I want it to be just right here, and I want to define how thick this is, not let the existing geometry define that for me. So what I want to say here, this distance, I'm going to make this actually like 1/8 of an inch. That's a pretty common kind of thickness for this. I'm going to say 1.25 for that. For this, I should probably be more conscientious about like setting some dimensions for this, but right now I just really don't care. I don't need that for this. So, great. So I have my sketch. This is going to end up being the front, the kind of the vertical place where I'm going to put my text, and then this is going to be the mounting point for the rest of the design. I'm going to use my screw holes here. I can do a lot of different things. I don't know. I didn't. This is kind of wasteful. I'm using a lot of space here. I could probably maybe make some changes to it, but we'll leave it for now as it is. We're going to get done with that sketch. We're still in our part studio. Now we want to start actually doing some extrusion. So we can go up here to extrude. You can also hit Shift E to open up the extrude menu, and I'm going to select this. I want this to extrude, and I want to extrude. I'm going to do 1/8 of an inch. I think that's a pretty common dimension. Maybe a little bit less, a little bit more, whatever. I'm going to do 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to hit OK. That's going to be my first extrusion. And you can see it actually made a part. This is our first part that we've created. And it has these reference holes, which is great. It also, this is very common in both Fusion and in OnShape. It hit our sketch for us. But actually, I still want to reference some more stuff off there. I still want to get this other thing right here. So I'm going to hit Shift E. And I'm also going to select this face. And I want that to go up a little bit higher. I'm going to say 1 inch is going to be fine for this. Again, this is where I'm going to draw in my text. I don't really have a specific size that I want for this. That should be okay. Cool, it's automatically saying it's not making a new part. It's adding it to an existing part. So it's recognizing that it's going to merge with this part right here. So that's great. We're going to say okay on that. We have our first piece. Let's see, before we go too much further, before we add the front text in here, this is like, because this is kind of like what you would be doing when building your robot. You might want to design some geometry like this. One really critical thing on this, you typically don't want to have these very sharp edges in your design. When you have sharp edges, if there's force applied, all the force tends to kind of meet at this point and causes breakages at that point. We can add a little more, we can distribute that load a little bit more by saying fillet, selecting that point, and we go to like a little bit of fillet, just adds a little bit of roundness to it. You can adjust the amount of roundness. My radius, I think from previous ones, is set up to be 0.05, very small, but it kind of, one, it looks cool, gives us kind of nice smoothness, and also any force that's applied to here is just going to like not get all kind of jammed in at that sharp corner. It's going to be kind of more spread out through the entire design. If you want to know more about that, go talk to Mr. Cahill in engineering, but that's what we're going to do for this. For this one, I really don't care. It's not like it's a load-bearing part, but it looks cool, and that's also matters. So let's go into here, and we are going to add in our text and be just about done. Let's see, I have that. I'm actually going to say I'm done with that context. I don't need the context anymore. I have my part. I have everything I want. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a sketch up on the front here, and then I'm going to add in some text. My text is going to look right like that. I'm going to say modem check. What I found, it often like makes it too big, which is kind of annoying, but we can just go into the, let's see, it's in the transform section here. Where is it? One of these transform modes right there. Might be one of these drop-down menus. Transform. We can click this thing. We can click all that text. And we can, I'm going to try and see if I can get right on the face here. Grab all that. And then we should be able to change the size of it. So maybe if I just grab this thing here. What's going on here? Let's see. Make sure we're in transform. Select. We just select that one part. It kind of gets the whole geometry. I can pull it down to make it kind of fit in there. Hit enter. Oh, there we go. Just had to select off it. And now we have our text in here. So maybe we can drag this around a little bit, make it nice and centered like that. Great. Cool. We're almost done here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude this. Right now it's extruding it away from the piece, which looks cool, but will be really hard to make. I'm actually going to do a negative extrude. I'm going to cut into this piece to remove some of the, to make it more like an engraving rather than something that's extruding out. So I'm going to say remove. Oh, I could do it like that. That actually looked really cool. It would just be like holes all the way through. That's kind of cool, although these little kind of middle parts will be floating. Okay, so instead I'm going to do a depth. I'm going to do a remove. I'm going to do like 0.05 again. And that's just going to kind of remove a little section of this. Also makes this much easier to print than having like kind of a vertical extrusion and like an embossing. So we'll do it like that. We're done. We have that nice, beautiful piece here. I'm going to go, the last thing I'm going to do in my part studio, I'm going to rename it. I'm going to call this my nameplate. And we are going to go into assemblies. And we're going to say, now we can insert part from our current document, nameplate, put that in, check, and then we can do fastens to put it into the right spot. Do that. Say solve. We'll say OK. Oh, actually, I kind of messed that up. Right, it's sticking out a little bit out the front. I didn't really mean to do that. I'm going to go back and edit this. We're going to change it from nameplate. We're going to get rid of that, and we're going to say right here. Okay, and we'll be done with that. That's going to be the end of this video. So what I want you to do is, don't tell you this in class too, but I want you to make 2 nameplates, one for each of you on your robot. Let's make them, I want them to be no taller. I think I made this about an inch. You can look back in the video to make sure. I don't want it to be no taller than these L298 motor drivers. I don't want too far above the board. But I do want to have 2 names on here. This space will be clear. You could also totally just do this name flat onto your like chassis spot right here. Try and leave these for these holes 1, 2 in the corners, 1, 2, 3, 4. Leave those open because we're probably going to need those a little bit later on. But we'll leave it there. Want you to start 3D printing those. And yeah, that'll be it for now.